The first public meeting of an expert NASA panel into what the Pentagon calls unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, or UFOs as we used to call them, has been launched in Washington. US defense officials say recent efforts have led to an influx in new UFO sightings. NASA receives up to 100 mysterious reports a month, sometimes more. And the panel is investigating about 800, roughly, as a total. The panel says although some incidents remain a mystery to science, most have a rational and reasonable explanation.
Only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous. The majority of unidentified objects reported to AARO and in our holdings demonstrate mundane characteristics of readily explainable sources.
Joining us live now, panel member Dr. Paula Bontempi. Doctor, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So just elaborating on that point, have you found any evidence of extraterrestrial life or UAPs yet?
So to my knowledge, the panel and no one has come forward with definitive proof of extraterrestrial existence or intelligence.
Do you think they are out there somewhere?
If you're asking me to speculate what I think, the universe is an awfully big place, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So in your heart of hearts, are you open to it?
So, I'm an oceanographer by trade. We discover all sorts of new things that some might term aliens beneath the ocean surface all the time. So it'd be an awfully big place to know that we might be the only life form out there. But when that happens, we will all know about it for sure.
Sean Kirkpatrick, we just saw some of him there. He said last week that there are strange flying metallic orbs that are becoming increasingly prevalent. So what are they?
Yeah, so the NASA panel investigated only a few reported incidents. We didn't actually have a comprehensive charge to look at all 800 plus. I believe that is the domain of the RO office that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick heads. But I will say of the over 800 reports that have come in, as Dr. Kirkpatrick said, only 2 to 5% were not readily identifiable with existing data. So the question becomes, do we have the right data to actually determine what we're reporting?
Or the right science?
Correct. The right science, the right technology. That is exactly the panel's charge, is that roadmap for the agency. Okay,
so is that so when you get roughly about 100 reports a month, and there is a small fraction, as you mentioned there, about 2 to 5% described as anomalous. For the objects that you discard, first of all, are they what, balloons, drones, etc.?
They are explainable. Yes, there was one particularly fantastic example given by one of the panel members, Scott Kelly. He said he was flying a Tomcat with his Rio, and they passed something that his Rio thought for sure was a UFO. And when they turned around, it was a Bart Simpson balloon. So honestly, eventually things are explainable for the most part.
Okay, but for the ones that are unexplainable, that's those anomalous reports. I mean, are they just the ones that you simply don't know because the science, the data isn't there?
Correct.
But they could be something flying saucer related.
Hard to say without the right information.
So
yeah, I'm
sorry. So what? How do you approach that now? How do you zero in on exactly what that 2 to 5% are now? What are you doing?
So for this particular panel, that wasn't the charge, but what we are talking about is what should be the next steps, right?
Yeah.
And we are working very closely with other federal and international agencies on just that. What is the roadmap that we should be pursuing for that 2 to 5% that we maybe can't explain?
Okay. Is there an Australian involvement in this as well?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but certainly the panel has discussed whether we need tight international cooperation because the data sharing might be really critical to actually finding the answer.
Okay, thought Parks might have something to do with your investigations moving forward. Anyway, but just finally here, Doctor, do you think you're ever going to be able to convince those true believers that there is nothing out there?
It's a great question. So one of the wonderful things about this particular field is the citizen science component, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people report lots of things, and that becomes part of the data track. And while people continue to report, that adds to the data that we have to actually look at things, the geography, the timing, et cetera. So I don't know. I think the diehards in faith is a very big thing, but that's speculative on my part.